able to touch the lives of people every day, it's just an amazing thing. And I'm so glad that that door closed for me so that I have so much more time to be a part of such a great mission. So once again, thank you all for coming. And if you have your phones, anybody on social media, please pull out your phones for me. We can do that before we get started. Our Facebook page is the Michael Brown Foundation, Chosen for Change. If you could like that. On Instagram, we're at Chosen for Change, and that's the word for, Chosen for Change. And on Twitter, we are at CFC Fund on Twitter. So please go ahead and follow us, and if you are interested in making donations or helping us out financially, you can always go to PayPal and send that to chosenforchangefund@gmail.com. That's also our email. So thank you once again. I hope that you guys have an amazing time this evening, that you are able to open up your hearts and minds to all these fathers and just help us all to heal as a community and move forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. So before we get started, once again, real fast, I always don't know why I like to do this, but give yourself a round of applause. Like, I think everybody coming out to West Grove, making the journey out here. It's not a short anywhere. And then definitely thank these fathers who come from afar. You all will hear them really soon. Once again, right now, Chosen for Change is actually going through what they call their weekend of healing. As some of us know, sometimes sharing our testimony does provide healing as well. Okay, so we actually will have a quick performance. And young lady, show me with your name. I apologize. Is that Georgia? Okay, Georgia's going to share a quick performance for us. And immediately following her, we have Mr. Chuck Alphin. Mr. Chuck Alphin is somebody who he can share his resume himself. But I know I saw Chuck on August 11th when we first started working and doing some of the things. But I met him years ago. He's been involved with the Kingian nonviolence movement for a while. As soon as Miss Georgia performs, we will have Chuck, and we will get and looking to learn and feel with these fathers. Thank you. Okay.
So you enter into this building. You brought your burdens, brought your pain. But I have a message for you today. That when you leave here, it won't be the same. So you tell me you've been to your position. Look at you, there's been no change in your condition. Reach out and touch the Master's robe. There's healing for your mind, your body, and your soul. Experience, hallelujah. God can heal. Oh, yeah. that God is able to supply every one of your needs. He's here to touch it, heal you. Oh, you set you free. Yes, he will. God, you promised me, said he would. I can be. So by the time that you leave this building, my prayer for everyone in here is that you'll have your healing. What's down a miracle to feel your needs. So tell the what you have received. Hallelujah. And you made it by
Well, good evening. Good evening. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out for this event. Let's make sure my mic is on. And this is going to be a real moving night tonight. We started it off in praise and worship. And hopefully we will end it in praise and worship. But I want to make sure that everyone here understands that this is much bigger than any of us here. And I'm so glad you came out, because that means that not only are you sick and tired of it, but you're ready to do something about that's what I'm about. We're about doing something. My name is Chuck Alphen, and I'll be your moderator for today. I'm with Building Life Foundation's Nonviolence Center, and we teach Dr. King's philosophy of nonviolence and conflict reconciliation. And how do you deal with conflict in today's society? And that's what we're about. We're about touching 20,000 lives here in St. Louis, Missouri. Is going to be our goal. And I want each of you to participate or think about coming out to one of them when we have it, so that now we can begin to use alternatives to violence, because no one's ever taught us how do we combat and deal with violence. We've always met violence with violence. And I've been all over the world, South Africa, Nigeria, where we taught killers from the age of 13 to 70, and using the same philosophy, we said, I understand your struggle, but change your weapon. Put the guns down, because not only do you kill somebody and your family feels the effect, but it is affecting others as well. And Dr. King said, what I do to my brother here affects the brother in another country. Or what I do to my brother over in Iraq affects someone here. We all are intertwined with one another, regardless of your race, color, creed, or religion. So tonight we're going to give an opportunity to these fathers, and I have one sister that I'm going to ask to come on up to the stage because she's actually representing someone that's not here. So if you don't mind, sister, if you'll sit up top for me, thank you. And what we're going to do, the way tonight's going to go, is we're going to give each father and representative an opportunity to tell their story or whatever's on their heart. And then we're going to also take questions and answers. If you'd like to send a question or you want to come up, if you don't have the courage to come up, you can also send a question to my Twitter at Mr. Nonviolence. My handle is at Mr. Nonviolence, and I'll have the questions. People are sending questions in, and we'll add some questions at the same time. Because it's not only about healing, it's about not ever letting this happen again to another father's son, mother's son, daughter, or another child. Because we have the means, we don't have the will. And I'm going to say this. I say, here in America, we recycle trash, but we throw our children away. I'm going to say that again. We recycle trash, but we throw our children away. What I mean is we give up on our kids. I don't care what's going on. I will never, ever give up. And these fathers will never, ever give up. So with that being said, again, if you have questions, send them over to me at Mr. Nonviolence. And what would I like to start off to do with the panel is, first of all, we'll go around the circle. We'll start off with your name and who you're representing. And then we'll come back and we'll give a little information, let them have a little information. So I want to start off, we'll start off on this end, my sister. Ladies first. Give us your name and who you're representing.
I'm Chanel Ball. I represent Mansour Balday.
My name is Kenneth Johnson. I represent Kendrick Johnson.
Hey, everyone, my name is David Morris. I'm representing David Morris III, my son.
My name is Otis Bryant. I represent various counties that are known as Hood, a local rapper.
My name is Von Derek Myers Jr. Senior, sorry. But I'm representing Von Derek Myers Senior, better known as Drew.
My name is Ron Davis. I'm the father of Jordan Davis, the young man that was killed in Florida for loud music. affectionately known to the community as Uncle Bobby. I am the uncle of Oscar Grant from Oakland, California.
My name is Andrew Joseph, and representing the 14-year-old Andrew Joseph III. He was killed at Florida State Fair in Tampa, Florida.
My name is James Golden, and I'm representing 9-year-old girl that got killed in Ferguson, and her name is Jamila Golden, my daughter.
My name is Perez Daniels, and I'm representing my son, Gomez Anthony Daniels.
My name is Patrick Pierce, and I represent Patron Pierce.
My name is Kerry Terrell Ball Sr., and I'm representing Kerry Terrell Ball Jr., aka Lil Kid.
Well, thank you all. We're going to start off the evening with a testimony or a 3 to 4 minute testimony or story or whatever's on their heart that they want to share. So we're going to start on this side. And I want you to tell us your story. Your son's.
First and foremost, forever, I must give the purest and the most perfect praise to the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, incomprehensible. The one with the courses of his fingers placed the stars in the sky. The one who set it bounds to the oceans that they cannot pass. The one who said to the stormy winds in my life, peace be still. Before I go any further, I would like to extend a special honors because I was taught as a youth that you praise God and you honor man. I would like to honor all the trailblazers that's on the battlefields right now that's fighting for justice for our children. Tony Taylor, Kerry Terrell Ball, Jr.'s mom, Carlos Lavelle Ball Jr., my son, and Sarah's not here. But they travel all over the country begging for justice. And I want to send a special honors right now to my little big brother, Mike Brown Sr. Hey, give him a round of applause, y'all. My story, my son's story. A 25-year-old kid started off as a chase because his windows was tinted. Been in trouble before, we know that. They knew that when they jumped behind him. They get on a high-speed chase. He wrecked the car, he jumps out of the car, running. Police came on him, he tossed his weapon, and he proceeded to put his hands in the air. They turned the corner and unloaded. They shot 29 rounds. 25 of the bullets hit my child. They stood over my son and proceeded to shoot bullets in his body while he was laying on the ground. Some of the bullets went through his body and came back out his body. That's how close they were. The witnesses, the 911 tape, I will never forget number 6 when she hollered, "This boy that threw this gun and these police officers are shooting him. They have killed this young man. Where is the ambulance?" In saying that, I want the record to reflect that my position has not changed. You haven't seen me out there because I took a pause to reboot myself, to re-energize my direction so that I can come back with more power than what we had. This happened on April the 24th, 2013. I'm going to say this because I said this in our very first protest. Today is a bad day to be a good cop. So, all we want is a chance for our day to be in court. This family here, we ain't looking for no sympathy party. We ain't asking for no handouts. We only want one thing. We seek it, that we get our day in court. Because the evidence is there. Everything that they need to get an indictment is standing right before them. But here's what happened to me. The prosecuting attorney was on the news, crying. When I say she was crying hard. I'm like, what's wrong with her? She crying. She said, well, the little doggy has been killed and there are no witnesses. She crying. I'm saying, wow. So I asked her, you cried when that little dog got killed, but you turned your back when my son got murdered and got massacred and they shot his body continuously while he laid on the ground. Well, so I asked, since it's human rights wasn't violated, why don't we try to get the thing for the animal rights? Because they treated my baby like a dog while he was getting shot on the ground. My story today won't change. It won't. Until I get a chance to take those two officers, give us a day in court, and whatever happened, let it happen. But my thing today is we're here to heal us. I don't know if I ever heal, but I think that my wounds sometimes will get a little better. That man, Big Mike, man, will call me every now and then, and right when I'm thinking about him, he'll hit. Think about you, bro. Think about you, bro. Real short and sweet. You know what I'm saying? He ain't ready to give you no long story, but think about you, bro. That'd be enough. So I'm asking us, how do we heal? We need a bunch of dudes around here. We need to take those that are struggling, and we need to stand on the mountain and reach down and pick up the one that's hurt. We got some hurt brothers and sisters out here. We got some hurt young children out here. I coach football. Out of all the children that I've had under my tutelage, I lost one child in Spanish Lake, and it hurts. And I'm going in the neighborhoods where don't nobody want to go. Ain't no too many people want to be in Spanish Lake, I'm telling you. But I want to let y'all know today, as we fight for justice, let's fight together. Our children are out there just getting massacred. And it's like nobody cares. So I'm asking us, let's reach down, let's help somebody that's hurting, and let's just offer a hug or something. It don't take much. You know, you can call me and say, bro, I love you, man. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And that, at times, is all I need. So I'm not going to hold this hostage up here, but I want to let every last one of y'all know that love is going to be the only cure for our children to get better. My name is Kerry Terrell Ball Sr. Thanks for having me. God bless you.
You know, Mr. Ball, you said the key word, love is what's going to heal us. And I'm not talking about the erotic type of love with boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm not talking the type of love, the friendly love, the brotherly love, I love you, reciprocal love, what we call filial love. But I'm talking about agape type of love. unconditional type of love, that I love you because you come from the same source that I come from, irregardless of what you've done to me. Now that's the hard type of love. And until we can understand agape love and unconditional love, it's going to be really hard for us to heal. And that takes time. That takes patience. It's going to take work. It doesn't come easy. People are going to make you mad, push your buttons, make you want to curse them out. They're going to steal from you, but you still got to show them that unconditional love. Not just one time, but 70 times 7. And with that being said, let's hear from our next dad.
How y'all doing? My name is Patrick. I'm representing Patron Pierce. He was killed out there in Spanish Lake, like June the 4th. Today is actually his birthday. I've been at his grave site today. I've been to myself for the last couple of days. Coincidentally, he had a son on the way, and I took his son to his grave site. Day for yesterday, he's like 2 months. And it's unbelievable how the Lord worked. This little boy was in his mama's arms, and when I say it's just amazing. I got it on videotape, so anyone want to see it, I can show it to you. This little boy is 2 months, and he sat there and looked at that cross the whole time on his father's grave. And when I tell you, in the video, you can see his hand is moving. And I'm like, who? And I looked at it, I said, who grabbing his hand? Who moving his hand? So you can actually see that my son is actually talking to his son. You know, and this is not a game, this is no myth, and I'm not no, and I just believe in Jesus, I believe in the Lord. So that's something I just want to share with y'all. But my son was shot in the head. He experienced so much in life within his 18 years here with us. And I talked to him, and coincidentally, I was a penitentiary dad. I've done 16 years in the feds, and he was only 18 when he died, so I only got to enjoy like 2 years and some months of his life. He was coming to see me on the regular. I talked to him on the phone, and we had several and numerous conversations on the phone. I tried to school him and mold him the best way I could from the position I was in, being sent across the country by our federal government. So I understood that he had a life going on, but I think the transition happened from him playing football in school and learning more and more about the streets. And his transgression was steady changing to where he finally got to the point where he caught a case and he was accused of shooting somebody. And he was incarcerated. So while he's incarcerated, I'm writing letters. The most important letter did not make it to him. I read that letter at his funeral. Everything in that letter happened to him. He wound up getting killed, by his own team, which is most of the time how it happened anyway. But my son was real precious to me, and in my heart. And a lot of my family, people that surround me, don't understand how precious he was to me, because they, know me I'm a street dude and this, that, and other. But while I was in for that time, I educated myself and got myself together and turned my life over to the Lord, and began to finally be a man. I learned how to be a man finally and be responsible from that, incarceration. So when I came home, I had so much going on. I lost my stepson, was killed in an accident on Jamestown Road. So, and then he was there to support his stepmother while he watched his stepbrother burn in the car to death. And he hugged his stepmother, and we wouldn't know that 6 months later he gone. So it's been a lot going on for me, and I've been dealing with a lot. And my son, he was a great kid. He played football. He had scouts looking at him and everything. But and my main question was for him was, Patron, what you gonna do? You gonna put the football down and pick the gun up, man? You gonna actually do that? You know what I'm saying? So when he was locked up, I was telling his mom, I'm like, don't bond him out. You know, his bond was like $100,000. I said, don't bond him out of jail because I know what's gonna happen. Because I'm from the streets. I know he's gonna get out and call himself OG. And people feel threatened about that, like that in the streets, even your own team. And they feel threatened. You see what I'm saying? So I'm telling her, this is my, don't bond him out. But she bond him out because she want her baby out like any other mother would. They want their baby out of jail. Instead of calling home crying, they won't come home. She want him out. So he wound up getting out, you know. But this is a hard moment for me right now. I've been going through hell these last couple of days because it's his first birthday. I won't get to see him. You know, he was with me last Christmas and everything. We kicked it. And I did spend some time with him, you know. We had some issues. Our last conversation, we were beefing about a shower. We were going in the shower first. So, you know, that was fun, you know, really. Right. That was fun, you know, mean mug, all that, you know. So, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. But I was proud of him. You know, he was a good kid. You know, he had a heart. He cared about everybody else's feelings. He wasn't no skunk down, just out there bad type of, you know, street guy, you know. And he wanted to make it. He had dreams and goals. You know, he told me about the things that he wanted to do. He wanted to go back to school. He wanted to play football, you know. He wanted to go to college. Every single one of his friends is in college. He was the only one to make it, you know. But the scouts was on him, you know, due to his circumstances, you know. I don't know. I just thank the Lord for my son, you know, today, and hoping that he can be some type of change or some type of, you know, way that he can help the world change, or help St. Louis change. This is out of control, not just St. Louis, but the world in general. Me, myself, I just don't like violence. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. But, you know, I have been put in position to be violent. And my son also has explained to me about positions that he's been put in to be violent. I didn't know that he was out here beefing like that, you know, to that extreme, you know. And I asked him several times, was he in the gang or, you know, what's going on, you know. He was like, no, Dad, I'm not in the gang, woo, whatever. But, you know, it's just hard for me to speak right now. I'm kind of emotional about my son not being here, and, you know, and he got that little baby. Man, that little baby just, I mean, he looked identical just like his father, you know. So I'm just looking forward to raising him and taking the time that I didn't have with my son and putting it into his son, seeing if I can get it right this time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Perez Daniels. I'm going to be brief. My son passed away 9 years ago due to a medical malpractice. He died in the hospital from an asthma attack. Well, what does that have to do with this? Me and my wife, you all might know her, Mama Cat. When families lose loved ones, me and my wife come to them and find out what they need. I talk to the fathers in a lot of cases, and I talk to them and explain to them that I understand the pain. I've had that pain. Only a father that lost knows how to talk to a father that lost. And with that being said, me and my wife, we try to help heal people through their own pain. My son Romez was a great kid, and 9 years later, it still kills me each and every day. So, with that said, me and my wife, we try to help out the rest of the families, and together, I guess we'll make it.
can't do nothing but break down. And then 30 days later, you right back in the hospital, having a baby. The same baby that the baby you lost knew about, that you argue with about the name. She said, Daddy, why do you want to name her Hope? Can't you just name her Penelope? Diamond or Mercedes? I said, now look, I chase God. I'm not finna not do what God want me to do. I'm not finna move because of man. I move because of God. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out and just hearing this little bit of my story.
Hello. Y'all look so beautiful. Y'all look so beautiful. Thank you for giving up the afternoon to come here and spend some time with us, because this right here is a club that nobody wants to be in.
That's right. That's right.
And we're standing here and we're fighting in unity so you guys will never have to be on this stage.
That's right.
Because it's the hardest thing in the world to have to go to the graveyard to visit your child. As you are. As men, taught to be tough and don't cry, and kind of put your emotions down, but something like this, man, it just tears you up. It just tears you up. And everybody on the stage, I'm thinking I'm safe to say that, there's something from unresolved grief. And a lot of misplaced behaviors and feelings. But again, my name is Andrew Joseph Jr. My dad's name was Andrew Joseph Sr. And I'm here representing Andrew Joseph III. Originally, this little guy on the stage, and he's the guy in the red cap on the program. Originally, we were from New Orleans, and we had relocated to Tampa after Katrina. So, we went to Tampa for a better life. While in Tampa, there's an event every year that's held in Tampa. It's called the Florida State Fair. When the state fair comes to town, and the whole school district gives all the kids from the school board, all the kids in the school district the day off to attend this fair. And they give everybody a free ticket to go to this fair. Okay, so we allowed my son to go to a school-sponsored event, fair day at the fair. He left the house a vibrant young man, an honor roll student. He went to Catholic school, went to private school. He was an outstanding athlete, undeniable talent. He had just won the Pop Warner in the little softball championship down in Orlando. He was a starting running back, so he was on top of the world. He had a great year. We allowed him to go to this fair with the neighbor. He went with the neighbors and their son. He agreed to let the neighbor drop him off and pick him up. Before he went to school, because the kids had the whole day off of school, but he was in private school, so they had to wait for him to come home to school to go to the fair. Before he went to school, he put 3 little outfits out on the bed. We took pictures of it. We put it on his little Instagram and asked, what should I wear to the fair? So he went to school and he came home and he had like 23 likes he should wear this little black outfit that he went to the mall to get. So the kids came back to the house that he was supposed to go to the fair with, and the kids didn't kind of look the part. So he invited all those little kids in the neighborhood up to his room, and he allowed them to put on his old clothes. And all these little kids come out of his little room, they're all about the same size, the same age, and they got his clothes on, so they all look like him. And we asked him, Pee-wee is what we call him. Pee-wee, why the kids got their clothes on? What dad leaves my old clothes, and their clothes are raggedy, and they're gonna give it back after the fair, and we just gonna help them out. So he dressed all those kids, and the Pee-wee, make sure you have your phone charged. There won't be no issues with your phone. You know where you're supposed to be at when you're supposed to be there. You've been to the mall, you've been to the school dances, and you've been in the community, so you know how to behave yourself. I'll see you when you get back. Have fun. 14. He went to this fair and he seen some of his football buddies that he played football with. Well, actually, he was standing on the ride with some of his classmates. And as he was standing on the ride with some of his classmates, one of his classmates said, "Pee-wee, isn't that your teammates that the police are arresting?" I said, "Yeah, that is my teammates. Let me go check on them and make sure they are right." "No, Pee-wee, the police already have them. There's nothing that you can do." "No, those are my teammates. I need to make sure they're okay. So let me go make sure they're all right." He gets off of the ride and goes behind the police that has his teammates. And as he approaching the police that has his teammates, one of the little boy's shoe come off and his hat come off. He picks up his shoe and his hat. And his first time he had seen him, the little boy name is Robert. First time he had seen Robert that night. Immediately Robert turned around and said, "Pee-wee, you see how they're handling us? Here's your shoe, here's your hat. Yeah, I see how they're handling you, Robert. Do you know these kids?" "Yeah, these are my teammates." Well, you need to come with us." "For what? I haven't done anything." "Tell Officer Gideon he needs to come with us too." So now he's involved. He's paraded through the fairgrounds. They don't even have a facility out there to process these kids. We're dealing with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department, who's supposed to be a professional group. This is the group that just did the security for the RNC, the Republican National Conference, when they came, as well as the Super Bowl when it was in town. And we had the fair dealing with a bunch of kids. And they're supposed to be dealing with international type of events. But anyway, they didn't even have a facility out there to process these kids. It was a rainy night. These kids were processed outside against the fence in the rain. All right? So here we are. I'm the gang task force, whose works the fair. I'm the gang task force, so I need you to tell me your name, give me your address, and I also need you to disrobe. The last picture of my son is a mug shot with his name and address in front of a wooden fence, half naked. Because this is the gang task force, I have to check you for gang markings. You're supposed to have something tattooed across your stomach, across your back, and in between your fingertips. Of course, my son had no tattoos, never been arrested, and had no piercings, none of that. Okay, so here we go. 14 kids was actually arrested that night. They was arrested and brought to the Jack Center, the juvenile center, and got their phone call. 99 kids, my child being one, 99 kids was ejected, meaning you guys didn't really do anything at the fair, but we can't allow you to stay here at the fair. So we're going to put you in an official police car and drive you 10 minutes away from the fair and release you to nobody. So no telephone calls, with no notification to anybody. So they took my son, put him in an official police car, drove him away from the fairgrounds, and dropped him off about 100 yards away from the interstate without notifying anybody. As my 14-year-old child was trying to get back to the safety of the fair, he was hit by an SUV on the interstate. The young man, Jonathan Hatfield, 19-year-old white male, who was driving the SUV that hit my son, was coming from the fair, going to the casino. You know, my little small world, he was coming from the bar, going to the bar. Jonathan Hatfield wasn't given a ticket. He wasn't given a breath test. He was allowed to leave the scene in the vehicle that just ran over my child like nothing had ever happened. This tore my world up. This stole everything that was dear to me. You know, when it first happened, my mind just was, I was like I was a 6th grade type of person. And you know, I just was going through the motions. And you know, after a while, when, you know, a few months passed back and your mind kind of come back to you a little bit, you know, I had to take a look at this, and this is wrong. No matter how you look at this is wrong. Now, I know we got a lot going on up here, but you know, as a result, I had a 10-year-old little girl at the time. She's 12 now. We had to buy this little girl that just lost her brother, her mentor, her buddy, her best friend. We brought a little therapy dog, a little Jack Russell, to kind of, you know, replace her brother a little bit. All right, so now as an advocate, and wrap it up, and as an advocate owner of a dog now, I couldn't take my dog out my back vehicle and transport my dog up to the front street, they told me, the front street, and release this dog. You know, and go back and get my truck and go home and watch some TV. And 10 or 15 minutes later, if that dog ran out in the street and got hit, they'll be banging on my door behind some animal cruiser. All right, so here we go. In 2016, they're telling me, as a grown man, you know, as a grown black man, I already understand that I only have half the rights that I'm supposed to have. All right? As a man, I understand when I walk into the courthouse, well, there's more rain going on in the courthouse than there is here in the church house. But when I walk up in the courthouse, I understand as a grown man, I only have half the rights that I'm supposed to have. But they're telling me in 2016, my son don't have any rights. Any rights at all. He don't even have the rights of a dog. Because if they would have found a dog running around loose in that ferry, they wouldn't have picked that dog up and dropped that dog off on the side of the road. That dog would have got a call to the vet. A dog would have called to the SPCA, somebody would took the dog home and made provisions for the dog. So we fighting for human rights.
That's right.
Human rights.
That's right.
So as I'm closing, I see a lot of young kids in there, and then, you know, I went to Grambling and that Jeep is blinding me over there. But I see a lot of parents in the house, a lot of kids in the house, and I want to just extend to you, know, to love your kids and hug your kids, and you know, get insurance on your kids, and take family pictures with your kids, and take them earplugs out their ears and sit down and have a meal on Sunday, and take vacations and make memories, because every time they leave the door, you know it's a blessing when they come home.
Amen.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm affectionately known to the community as Uncle Bobby, the people's uncle. I am the uncle of Oscar Grant. You know, Cornel West said it this way: if you want to hear the truth, you must let the suffering speak. It is the responsibility of the living to seek justice for the dead, because the dead can no longer speak for themselves. That's what our mission is. To seek justice for our loved ones that was wrongfully murdered. Now, we have two issues going on here tonight. We have the crimes of the police, and we have the crimes in our community. I call it community violence. I'm going to speak more specifically about the crimes of the police. How many of you seen the movie Fruitvale Station? Raise your hand. Thank you from the family for supporting the movie, And for those who have not seen the movie, I'll give you a little backdrop, and hopefully you'll go actually see the movie. It's about our family. When the BET had their awards, it was 4 movies. It was 12 Years a Slave, it was Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, it was The Butler, Forrest Whitaker, and then it was also Fruitvale Station. And out of all those movies, the one that spoke most importantly to the issues of what we're experiencing today was Fruitvale Station. It was the murder of my nephew that sparked the movement that we call today Black Lives Matter movement. That's right, we need to clap for him. On January 1st, 2009, at the Fruitvale BART station, my nephew Oscar Grant was murdered. And I'm going to give you a quick picture. He was laying face down with his hands behind his back. An officer was on his neck, choking him out. He was saying, I can't breathe, Eric Gardner. And before he was thrown to the floor, I need to add this. He was talking to his girlfriend on the phone before he was called, and I'm going to use the language, but I apologize for using the language. He was called a bitch-ass nigger twice before he was thrown to the ground by the police officer. But he was talking to his girlfriend like Trayvon Martin. You know, when I go back and open that wound, you know, it's pain. You know, so I'll do the best. But anyway, this officer was 600 pounds on his neck, 250 pounds on his neck. The officer on his back, Johannes Benjamin, who actually pulled the trigger, is 6'7", 270 pounds. He was on Oscar's back. Basically, he had 500 pounds officer, or 600 pounds of police officer on his body, and he was only 150 pounds. Of course, as he was there, being choked out, cracked the bones in his face, he saying that I can't breathe. He was in pain. He was squirming, yes. And as he got his hands behind his back, Officer Mesley stands up and shoots some center mass in the back. The bullet goes through his body, hit the concrete floor, comes back up, hitting him in the lung. 2 injuries, 1 exit. So basically, he was shot twice, but with 1 bullet, unlike Kerry Ball Jr., shot 25 times, or Mario Wood, 21 times. You know, but the reality of this pain is real. This is our reality that we're sharing with you. Just last week, I'm going to deviate really quick, but just last week in Oakland, California, we had an event very similar to this that pertains specifically to the mothers. Eric Garner's mother sitting here. Samira Rice sitting right here. Oscar grandma was sitting right here. You see what I'm saying? All these mothers from across the country was in Oakland sharing the same story. If you want to hear the truth, you must let the suffering speak. Because it is our hope that your heart is pricked enough to become part of this movement so that we all can have real freedom, justice, and equality. Black life does matter. And when we say that, that does not mean we put a dagger on all lives, because listen, all lives can't matter if black life don't matter.
Right. That's right.
Does that make sense? So don't be afraid to say black life matter. This is critical. The very foundation of this country is hemorrhaging on black life.
That's right.
And what we see as one of the most domestic issues in this country, police terrorism. It has to be addressed. And as Michelle Alexander said, that it will not happen until we have a mass movement. And that means all of us must become involved in bringing about a change. And I'm so glad to see young people here, because this is the most fearless generation that we have. And I'm clear that our real freedom, justice, and equality is going to come through you. This is not about me. And it's not even about all these brothers and fathers sitting up here. It is really about you. But more importantly, it is about your babies that you're going to bring in this world. So remember this, young people. If you fail to stand up now, what kind of life will your children have? So we had a real serious time. There's a real movement taking place. And I know I didn't talk a whole lot about Oscar, because it's my hope that you actually see the movie. And go to video and just Google Oscar Grant. Because the video is what tells the story. I don't have to sit here and tell you, because when you look at that video, if you don't get angry about what happened to that young man, my nephew, then it is something wrong. Put it this way, white supremacy has duped you.
That's right.
You hear what I'm saying? White supremacy has made you not believe your own eyes. And we got to understand that. And I'm going to close with Martin Luther King's quote. He says, cowards ask, is it safe? Expediency asks, is it political? And vanity asks, is it popular? But conscience asks, is it right? There comes a time when one must stand, when in neither it is safe, political, or popular. We stand because it is right. We have a right to life.
Right.
Let black life truly matter. Young people, take the leadership of this movement and bring the real freedom and justice and equality that we're supposed to have, so that your babies can represent this world. Thank
you. Okay, we're going to change it up and come on this side. But before we do, I love what my brother just said. We've got to stand for something. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And we have to really go back. See, this is nothing new that's been happening. It's only that social media has brought this to the light. This has been going on for years, decades, and more decades. But because of social media and our cell phones and cameras, we're able to capture it and shoot it all the way across the world. So I love what my brother said about the young people. We have to stand up. We have to get educated about it and understand and participate in the political process. Because if we don't understand how the rules are governed and played, we can't even play the game. And when we stand up, we got to know how to fight. And when I say fight, I don't say fight with these. I say we got to learn how to fight with this. And when we fight with our mind, they said, J. Edgar Hoover said that Dr. King was the most militant person that was out there because he knew how to break and separate America. And he did it non-violently. So we have to begin to teach our young people the structure and how do we move. And I want to apologize to all my youth because we've let generations go by without passing along the mantle. We got too busy living, trying to make a life. And we let our values go. And they said unity. We had unity. We have to get unity back, get our values back. And when one brother's not able to take care of their child, another man has to step up, or another woman has to step up and begin to take charge. It's a village. We have to become a village again. We've gotten away. We're too busy living a life. Oh, I don't care what happens to my neighbor. Oh, I'm glad they got robbed instead of me. And no, I'm not going to tell. Well, guess what? If you don't tell, tomorrow they're going to be in your house. So we need to stand up. And we can't be afraid of these younger generations. If you're afraid, you might as well go ahead and you're not living. Go ahead and lay down. They're young kids. We're adults. Not to say that they don't know and they don't have a voice, because they do have a voice. And we have to begin to give them a frame and let them paint the picture. Come on, sister.
All right, so real fast, I know we're getting close to 9 o'clock. However, I just asked and made sure that we're not. I do not want to rush the family members up here. I just asked permission, and we will stay here until we hear from every single one of the fathers and the sister here as well. All right, once again, we have water, juice, cookies, chips. If somebody want to put it on some pizza, that's fine. We can make it happen. We're going to be here. All right.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I am Shanette Ball. I'm in Seward's Barbade, older cousin / aunt of the mother. I'm all that. First, I really appreciate these guys up here, and you all should too, because it's not a lot of men that's out here representing their kids. Some passed, and you don't even know that this guy just went through something yesterday. He just buried his son. You don't even know that. So by these guys sitting up here and they telling us their story, thank you. I met half of them. I know some of them. They're really good guys. Really, you have a conversation with them. They're really good guys. I kind of feel like they're family now, even their wives are family, and I appreciate you all too. My story, Mensur, was 18. It hurts really bad. When he was murdered the same day as Golden, as your daughter. He was killed by St. Louis police. The little boy that was with him, I see him every week now, because I guess it's the attachment that he had with Mensur. He don't like to stay at home. He's up under me like my son now. He's like 13 years old. He just sitting around. He's like a kid, literally a kid. I sit and I look at him, and I'm like, these cops don't even understand what they had just done to this little boy, a kid. He told us that he was with Mensur. He had just got off the bus. They were on their way to my aunt's house, which is the property that I own. He said when Mensur got off the bus, he was meeting him because he started doing beats. They started rapping, and he was doing their beats. So he met him halfway. Mensur was walking toward him. They met up, talked. which is my property too. So it's the property where they send and sewer ran out of a lot, and then another building, which is my property. Him not being this kid from the street, he not a kid that was claiming no gang signs, claiming he in the game. He was basically a county boy. He caught the bus down to the city when he wanted to hang with us. He caught the bus down. He learned how to catch the bus. He not knowing the jump out boys, they saying they kicking in, none of that. So he runs through the backyard, through the gangway, to the front. The police shot him. They told us, they shot him once in the back, which ruptured his spinal cord. They said the spinal cord punched his heart. He fell immediately. They told us they shot him in the alley and he kept running. And then he fell. Autopsy came back, he couldn't have been that far from where they said they shot him at because his spinal cord ruptured. Plus he was heart. When Chief Dawson got on the news, they told us, oh, he was shot 4 times in the front. It's an officer on the front, shot 4 times in the front. We had to look for him, one thing. We had to go looking for him because they told us that the person that was shot was gone to the hospital. We go to Bowens, we went on Grand, we called him, people that work at the hospital, see if he there, see if he there. No one knew where he was at. We get the EMT report now. They signed off on everything because the ambulance came to pick him up. They didn't have a crime scene, they didn't have any pictures. They had nothing because they had an ambulance to come and pick him up and take him right out. They signed off saying, basically they didn't want to be a part of it. They didn't know where to take him because he was already DOA. They didn't know what to do with him. He ended up in the morgue later on about 7 that night. And this happened around 12 noon, 1 o'clock. Now, we still wait on a police report. They have not called us, they have not said anything. What we hear is what we go to them to get. We down there. And I kind of want to thank the protesters because they really scared of the protesters. Oh, it's been peaceful. They family haven't been down here. That's pretty great. They scared of the protesters. Protesters coming up. They scared of the protesters. We go down. We don't have the police report ready yet. Give us a couple more months. It'll be ready December. It'll be ready January, February. This is March. We go to Jennifer Jordan. She has nothing. Oh, I can't even get a witness. I don't have a witness. We can't do anything. We don't know what to tell you all. There's nothing to tell. Well, bring us the witness in and maybe we can get a little further than where we are. Crazy. So, on that note, I can't relate to how you all feel, but I speak to my uncle every day. He calls me every day, and I have to answer the phone. I have to talk to him because it's like he's leaning on me, and I'm leaning on him. And then when he called, it scares me sometimes, because I'm like, okay, maybe they got this police report ready. So I'm scared to answer because I know it's like, you looking at the news, you seeing them literally killing people, and they're not getting prosecuted, they're not getting indicted. It's like, okay, I'm waiting on to hear that too. We in the wrong too. Our kid was wrong too. So I get nervous when he calls. It's like that 3 o'clock phone call, 8 a.m. that you don't want in the morning. You don't want those phone calls. And it's like noon, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., but I have to answer because I know he has to tell me something, or he has to hear my voice, he has to say something. So I know how they feel. And half of the time he don't want nothing. Hey, me, what's up? What you doing? We just left the police station and still don't have nothing. And I heard in his voice, it's draining him. It's really draining him. When me and Cal was together, we was at an event. And she was like, I think I'm having father's retreat. And I'm like, hell yeah, good, that's good. Because in my mind, he needed it. My uncle needed it. He is drained. He waiting on his police report. They get angry. He's Moorish American, so he couldn't be here. They down south doing an event. They also trying to get justice from the Moorish American. They're fighting for what we fighting for too. So they have a whole other organization on them too, as well as we fight for justice. The Moorish American, they submit, I don't really know much, but they submit all these papers too to I'm with them. But I have to come up here and tell our story. So basically, we're still waiting on a police report. We have nothing. Only thing we have is you all fighting with us. That's all we have. We didn't know where to turn. We didn't know what to do. That's all we have is each other. And the first person I met was Sharita, the volunteer. When it happened that day, they called and told me your building got yellow tape all around it. They say 5 people in there dead. And I'm like, what? I'm falling out. I'm in Clay leaving court from another situation. I'm like, what? Get down there, thinking it's my nephew. It's not him. They bring him and the girl out. It's not him. So everybody like, well, who is that? Because Mansour worked. He worked nights, so we know he at home. He don't be down here like that. He's a county boy. Who is that? Never knew who it was until the little boy, he ran for his life. My daughter didn't see him running down Kings Highway. Told him to get in court. He was running from them. He was just running. So they called him, hey, come here. Who was that over there? He couldn't even say his name. He said, the one that worked. The one with the UPS guy. My daughter called. I'm standing, trying to figure out who it is. I had my earbud in, my cell phone. He said my ear. She said, she just screaming. Mama, no, it's Mansour. I'm like, no. I got he right here with us. Behind right here with us. It's Mansour. He was with him. And that was it. Our world that was it. Because we weren't raised, we're not street kids. We're not hood kids. My grandmother had 14 kids. There was 28 of them. We had that village. We had a village to raise us. Now, I have all the younger ones up under me. They always at my house. My house is the place for the kids now. So, we never lived like that. So, only thing I can stand up here and say right now is thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate all the mothers out here that I met, the fathers that I met. Thanks so much, because without you, we are lost. We are so lost. So thank you all.
Thank you. So, there has to be a movement. Like my brother said earlier, we're fighting 2 battles. We're fighting a battle where we have violence amongst ourselves, and then we're fighting a battle that we want officers to uphold the law and do it the right way. And we have to weed out all of the bad police officers. Because again, this has been going on for decades. And we have to be organized. We can't cave in and quit. This is not going to be a short battle. We didn't get here overnight, and we're not going to get out of it overnight. So that means that I need everyone here to commit to say that I'm in it for the long haul. Because these families need us. And not just these families, but all the families across the U.S. that have lost loved ones to violence. So we can't go on with life as the way it used to be. We now we have a battle cry. We have a rally. We have 2 fights that we have to fight. And they're both just as equally as tough. So before we leave out of here tonight, we're going to love on them and continue to love on them and the families. And we're going to organize. We're not just going to sit and talk. We're going to do something. You need to join in a local organization that's doing something. If you're at home watching TV, no more. No more status quo. We get out and we're going to educate our kids on how do we manipulate a police stop. Because our kids don't know that. Some parents teach the kids, but we need to teach all of the kids. What do you do when a police officer pulls you over? We cannot win that battle at that moment. But if that officer does something that's not correct, your battle is not that day. Your battle is after that. So we have to understand that no matter what an officer does or says to us, that's not my time to fight at that point in time. So we need to educate them on how do we get to make a complaint on an officer. What do we do? What is your stance? What is your say? Because I know when I was coming up, my mom and dad told me what to say when a police officer pulls me over. I have 2 kids now. I have 2 young men. And God knows, I don't know how I would make it. One of them's 22, 23, and one of them's 21. So I know that that's their world. Their world has been crumbled. So we have to begin to learn how do we fight? What do you do? What do we do?
Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Kenneth Johnson, the father of Kendrick Johnson, a young man found dead in his high school. Aren't we all tired of this jacked up system? I get so tired when I see the news. They always want to take a child's background to justify what they've done to him. When I went to see the sheriff about my son's death, the first thing the sheriff told me, we don't even have a fingerprint on your son. I said, hell, you looking for a fingerprint of him? He's the victim. My son was where he was supposed to be. He was doing what he was supposed to be doing. Going to school. And they still denied him justice. My son went, my wife was there when they found my son at school that morning. They wouldn't even let my wife identify his body. I got home that night. I identified my son 2 days later. They was, as we was going to identify my son, they was telling me how bad my son looked. The odor was on his body. They were trying to encourage me to identify my son's body, but I told them my son would not leave that counter without me identifying his body. As we get back to the room where my son was, they had him in the freezer. You know, when I walked in, I said, well, damn, it's kind of hot in here. I said, well, maybe I'm just nervous because of what I've been seeing. As they pulled the cooler out, I say, damn, a lot of heat come out of there. You're supposed to have a lot of cool air come out. But what they've done to my son, they turned the heat up to accelerate the decomposition, to hide all the evidence, what was on his body. They cut all 10 of my son's fingernails. When my son came back from autopsy, there was another body came with his. This body had all his personal effects, had everything, he had paperwork. My son had no clothing, no paperwork, just his corpse. So we made a big issue about his clothes, because his clothes would have had a lot of trace of evidence from someone else on his clothes. So we made a big fuss about his clothes. the autopsy report came back, we questioned it because what I seen that day in the morgue, that I knew my son would be. So we had to go before the court just to exhume my son's body. Normally, if you got two parents, both of them agree to exhume their son's body, you don't have to go to court. There should be no argument, no fuss. You can automatically pull your child out of the ground. But they made me and my wife go to court and have a hearing. They were trying to tell us why we shouldn't do it, how much money it was going to cost for us to do it. But it's not coming out your pocket, it's coming out of our pocket. But they still didn't want us to do it. Come to find out, my son didn't have no organs inside his body. They took my son's brain, they took his tongue, they took his windpipe, every organ out of his body they took. And it's hard, it's hard. But no matter how much they try to cover up, you can't cover up a perfect crime because you're always going to leave something.
That's right.
And it's really rough sometimes, for us to have to go through the things we go through. Especially when a child, where he's supposed to be, doing what he's supposed to do, never ever been in trouble. And for the school to deny him his human rights. They say there's some good cops. Well, a good cop will speak up. A school will speak up. The school system is just as guilty as the ones who done it because they are the one that try to sweep it up on the road.
Yes, sir.
And it's coming up to a time now that we are pretty sure we're going to get some arrests pretty soon. And we've been fighting a hard fight, and it's tough. Especially when you got all these people, they're telling you lie after lie after lie. I understand the lies. I understand how hard it is. Because you got to sit there and look at these people lying. And the FBI agent's sons, we doing deposition. And they had one of the sons to interact with me, trying to make me lose my cool, trying to make me go after him. His job was to piss me off. He's sitting on the other side of the table, winking his eye, smiling. But I put it back on him. I smiled at him and winked at him. I said, but your day comes. And I won't stop till the whole family arrested. The mother and father are just as guilty as they are.
How y'all doing tonight?
All right, and you?
I want to thank God first. Thank Dr. Brown and the organization. My name is David Morris. I'm going to talk about my son, David Morris, III. Been on his little area. December 23rd, 2014. Sitting in the front room talking to my son. He got a phone call. Some guys out. That was the last time I ever seen my son. He was murdered in the city. The police is not getting no justice for us at all. And going down there every day, call down there, asking to help us, and they won't help us. Just want to say thank all y'all for coming out to help us out. If anybody can help us, please help us. God bless y'all. Have a good night.
When we talk about young people being murdered, It's nothing new to me. I've been mentoring in St. Louis since '96. I worked at Gateman Middle School. How many of y'all know where that's at? All right. There's been close to 60 young people just from that school alone who has been murdered on the streets of St. Louis. I've attended 49 funerals. My son was killed last year at Sullivan and Prairie. Him and a friend was hanging out, and the friend had to go pick up somebody, and he told me he'd come back and get him. As soon as my son got out of the car and stepped on the sidewalk, a carload of guys came through the alley, shot and killed him. I guess my strength comes from knowing that if I help so many other families, I can make it. It's a struggle. It's a struggle when it personally hits you at home. You don't have answers, you get angry. You don't know who to trust. You turn your phone off, you don't want to talk to nobody. I just solicit all of you to continue to pray for each other and to show love towards each other. I've created an event. Actually, it's going to be going into its 4th year on April the 30th. It's called We Walk the Same Streets, We Walk the Same Halls. It starts at 20th and Grand, and it'll end up in the O'Fallon Park. And I noticed that we have our speaker for the day is here. She surprised me. How you doing, Ms. Griffith? Okay, Ms. Griffith's experienced losing 4 children at one time in the Merrimack. How many of y'all remember that incident a few years ago? She's going to be our speaker. So if you know any mothers or fathers that are going through some hurting experience, I'd like for you to invite them out to come and join us and just kind of love on each other. Thank you.
I'm angry as hell. Y'all probably wondering why I'm laying here. And the reason why I'm laying here is because I am Von Derek Myers Jr. Life taken for no apparent reason at all. They claimed that he was a monster. No one really knew him. His family knew him. They loved him to death. His daddy loved him, still loved him to this day. His mom loved him. His friends, Lord have mercy, they're so devastated. Yeah. But they called my son an animal because they didn't know him. They thought he was just some random kid. Didn't have no one to love for him. Get away with my boy. I swear for God in heaven, if it weren't for my family sitting out there in the audience, I'd be killing me some motherfuckers. You understand me? I swear for God in heaven. But you know what though? My son was my strength, and they took that away from me. But he instilled a little more in me to continue to fight for him. I won't give up. I will continue to fight to my last breath. But I promise you one thing. If this shit goes sideways, I promise you, there's going to be a lot of blue coats fucked up. And I promise to God on that. rise to my feet because my son said so. I am from Jeremiah.
Feeling kind of fiery tonight. Chuck, did Mike tell you that I was coming? Did he tell you that I was coming? They call me the unfiltered Ron Davis. I'm the father of Jordan. Russell Davis, young man, was killed for loud music in the gas station in Florida.
Yes, sir.
I make people feel uncomfortable sometimes. It's good to feel uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Right.
Because truth makes you feel uncomfortable. Tell you a little bit about Jordan. Jordan was in a car with 3 other individuals, banging their music loud like Mike Brown bangs his music loud. And so this middle-aged white man, 46 years old, decides to drive, come into the gas station right next to him and roll down his window and said, turn down that thug music. Thug is a new N-word, you know.
Yes. Yes.
Boys didn't pay him any attention, and they kept banging their music. He rolled down the window again, and my son, who I taught not to live on his knees, but to stand up like a man.
That's right.
Told him what he had to tell him back and forth. The verbal conversation ensued. My son never got out the car to touch this man. None of the boys got out the car to touch him. And the man said, "You can't talk to me that way." Reached into his glove compartment, pulled out a gun, and started shooting into a car full of kids in a gas station. Bullets flying in a gas station where people are pumping gas. He didn't dial 911 after shooting at the boys. Boys tried to get away from him. They drove a couple of yards down. He drove back to his hotel room with his fiance. Passed 3 or 4 cops on the way, never dialed 911. Got to the hotel, poured him a rum and coke, ordered a pizza, went out and walked his dog. The next morning, he found out he had murdered my son. They hopped into the car, drove 2.5 hours down Interstate 95 to Satellite Beach, Florida. But someone had gotten his license plate and they arrested him as soon as he got to his house and brought him back to Jacksonville, Florida. They call it the loud music trial, but it wasn't about loud music. It was about a white man who's a domestic terrorist terrorizing black kids.
That's right.
We have many domestic terrorists. I see white people in the audience right now, and that's good. I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate you supporting us and supporting the movement. I appreciate you having the courage to come out and just listen. Whether you agree or not, it's good that you came out to listen, because that's what you have to do. Be educated and be enlightened.
That's right.
That's the way. And when I say white people in my conversation, I'm talking about domestic terrorists. I'm not talking about you, who understands that 99% of the DNA of all of us is the same.
That's right.
Only 1% separates the skin. Only 1%. So I want you to understand, you're with us, we're with you. But the domestic terrorists are the people that like the good old days that wasn't so good for us, when there was strange fruit hanging from trees. Our mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, and our children hanging from trees like strange fruit. Those same domestic terrorists are here today. Me and Uncle Bobby, we fight and tell people all over this country that they didn't disappear.
The Constitution is still the same when you're 3/5 of a human being. Right here in St. Louis, the old courthouse, Dred Scott decision, you can't be a citizen because you're not a human being. Nothing has changed. Okay, they let you drink at the same water fountain, that's okay. Use the same restrooms. Mike Brown told me when he used to go to Goody Goody, the restaurant, they used to have to go to the back door, side door. That was in the 70s, wasn't it? Hasn't changed, wasn't that far away, wasn't that long ago. We have to understand that everything that was accomplished during the civil rights era has taken a step back. They do not value the life of Jordan Davis. Michael Dunn decided that Jordan Davis's life didn't matter. Black lives didn't matter to Michael Dunn and the Michael Dunns of this world. But our sons and daughters, they do matter. This man poured his heart out right now. It does matter. When Vaughn Myers' son died, he asked Mike Brown to call me. And I talked to him the first couple of days after he lost his son. And I am so glad to see him here today, and I told him that. And I thank Mike for connecting me with this man. We love our children, we love our families, and they do matter. We see them die every single day. And I bet you before the summer comes, at least 2 or 3 individuals in this room will lose loved ones. So what are you going to do about it? I heard Chuck today talk about peaceful measures. I used to be kind of peaceful, I guess. But I was born in Harlem, New York, and grew up in Queens. And I heard the words of Malcolm X. Anybody heard of Malcolm? And he turned the other cheek also, but if somebody hit that other cheek, he bust them over the head. There's something to that. You know, when the sheep herder takes the sheep out, the only thing protecting those sheep from the wolves is that sheepdog. I'm like that sheepdog. Because if somebody come during one of our protests, one of our peaceful walks, and want to do harm to us, they're going to get an equal measure of harm back to us. I like to fight with my mind, like this gentleman said. Knowledge will help you fight, and you can fight very well with your mind, but sometimes you have to drift over a little bit to the dark side of your combat. And you have to take appropriate measures. So what I say to you is that the laws of this land are meant to incarcerate us. The 13th Amendment says that we abolish slavery except if it's a form of punishment. Today, you have 21st century slaves in these private prisons. They're building more private prisons than universities. And the states are guaranteeing the private prisons 90% occupancy guaranteed. These are your children that they're going to lock up. Okay? Understand that. The prisons do not rehabilitate people. They are there to keep you in prison and make sure that you're in such agony mentally and physically that within 3 years you will return to prison. That's what these laws do for you. When people have problems with drugs, non-violent drug offenders, they should be rehabilitated in hospitals, in clinics. But they decide that we can make money off of them, so they put them in prisons when they're non-violent offenders. I know many in this room have sisters and brothers, husbands and wives, sons and daughters that have been in prison because of drugs. Am I right? Yes. Many of them have not harmed anyone else but themselves. the states are making millions of dollars off their labor in prison. That's why they're in prison. They're supposed to give you bond, which should be appropriate to the money you make, so that you'll return for trial. If somebody is making $50,000 a year, how can you give them a bond of $500,000? You just want to keep them in prison. When your children, and I see some children out there, when you're in a car and the police approach you, understand what I say tonight about domestic terrorism. Domestic terrorists, the KKK and its affiliates, they don't walk around all the time with hoods on and sheets. They have blue uniforms and badges and guns. They will holler into their microphone systems that they have on their body cameras. Stop reaching for my gun when your hands are on the steering wheel.
Yes.
When they drag you out the car, they'll say, stop reaching for my taser when you're flat on the ground.
Yes.
Look at Oscar Grant and Fruitvale Station, flat on the ground. Walter Scott in Northeast Charleston, South Carolina, running away from the police, shot 6 times in the back. And the police brings his cage and put it next to the body. We're just seeing that because social media now, everybody has a camera. It's been going on for decades. And we keep letting it go on. We have to change the way we do business. We have to change society. If you know that there's somebody in your neighborhood dealing drugs, we have to tell and stop it. You can't let drug dealers kill your children. You cannot let the police kill your children and go unpunished. Do not believe that the prosecutors are going to prosecute the police because they go to dinner and they go to lunch with the police. The city managers tell the prosecutors don't prosecute the police because we don't want to pay out to the families. That is true. That is true. That is true. Watch the stand your ground laws in your city. Stand your ground where you have to take it to the mind of the shooter. And you hear these 5 words, I feared for my life.
Yes.
You hear them all the time. When they shot Mike, I feared for my life. You're the shooter, you have a gun, you have a badge. How the hell do you fear in your life? You have to understand today that there are more guns being handed out in America. It's more guns than population in America. And at some point in some of my speeches across this country, as I go, last year 133,000 miles across the country speaking. We have a film called 3.5 Minutes, 10 Bullets. It's on HBO right now, and you can find it on HBO On Demand. We've shown the film at the White House. We're part of President Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative. The first time I heard about Ferguson, I was in Geneva, Switzerland, speaking at the UN Convention about Ferguson and about Jordan and about Trayvon, with Trayvon's mom there. The world has indicted the United States because the United States is only 5% of the population of the whole world. Yet we incarcerate 25% of the entire world right here in the United States. So that's an indictment against them, and we have to do something about it. One of the things I would say locally, if you want to get involved, Chosen for Change Foundation, give a few dollars before you leave here tonight for Chosen for Change. Get out there in the streets with Mike Brown and his family, Chosen for Change. He's trying to change this system. And we're here as fathers and friends to support Mike Brown. That's why we all came here today. And I, Ron Davis, support Mike Brown. And guess who else supports Mike Brown? Jordan Davis, because he's right here with me. Thank you very much.
God for my strength. I want to thank my wife sitting over in the corner. I see you, boo. I'll say a small story. Month before Mike was killed, he had a vision. He called me and my wife. He was doing teenage things. Everybody was a teenager up in there, you know. Smoked a little reefer. Okay. So he took some pictures of some clouds because of that rain. So he called Cal. Forgot what we was doing. We was moving around. We was doing something. And you could hear it in his voice. He was kind of trembling. I want to see y'all these pictures. I want y'all to see what I see. I'm like, what is he talking about? So me and Cal going back and forth. He called back, y'all see it? Y'all see it? I'm like, no, we don't see it. I'm like, Cal, high trick. So when he calls back, he said, y'all still don't see it? I'm like, nah, we don't see it. He said, you don't see the devil chasing that angel? I said, whoa. First time we talked about this angel. I said, I have to get this boy together. I wish I could see what he see. So a few months after then, a couple of weeks after then, we was at the Chinese buffet in Ferguson, off West Florida. So us and the family sitting down eating. And I was getting up to go and use the restroom, and I remember hearing him as I was getting up, like, Will gonna know my name, because he was trying to be a rapper. But I was telling him, man, get out of that rapper stuff. You going to college, boy. So I come back, they still talking about it, you know, and we kind of talked about it a little bit more, and we left. The following week, I get a phone call after I got off work that he had been shot and killed. So, you know, they want to throw that old convenience store thing in there and try to twist the story, make it look all bad or whatever. I think we all have been teenagers in there. If anyone haven't took something, you know, growing up, or I don't even know if he took it. You know, they only show one side of the tape. If I had seen the whole film, then, or the world had seen the whole film, they would have known what really happened. So, the first shot at the car hit his thumb, knocks his thumb off. The struggle started. He get loose, he take off running. Mind you, I said that he said he seen the devil and the angel. Damn, that was my son being chased by the devil. So we out there for 4.5 hours asking questions, trying to get to him, getting pushed back, getting lied to, dogs getting sick on, ARs pointed in our face.
Right.
But my son's sitting out there like the New Age lynch. You might as well have been hanging from a tree. It hurt so bad I couldn't get to him. Hurt me to death, I couldn't get to him. But at that time, I was in the daze. To be honest, I don't know where I was in. I felt like I was in a box, you know, because he's covered up at this point. I'm listening to what people saying that that's him. But what I'm looking at, he's covered up, and he's not answering the phone, and I'm steady like he's gonna walk up. So you know what they do with the brain, or these tricks on it. So after then, you know, they get him up, where they do this old cover up, put the orange little thing around him. I said, Cal, they trying to set him up, they're trying to put something on. She said, this guy named Brother Shaheed, the first time I met Brother Shaheed, said this guy, Brother Shaheed, said he finna get on the ass. He go right down there, watch almost everything they were doing, because I wanted to make sure they didn't plant me on my son. So after then, they got him up. They come to the family, give us a call. Talking about contact this number. So, kind of like, you need to go on call, go on call. So we call. People talking about that, we already been identified by. First thing come to my mind, they either beating his hands up, they doing something to the body. They trying to clean up. So they were trying to say Mike struck him. I didn't see him. It looked like he had blush on his face. You know, if he got hit in the face, I think it would be a big bruise.
Yeah, me too.
But it looked like blush to me, like he put some makeup on. But yeah, this is just lies. These people lie to us, act like we don't see what we see, we dumb. I'm tired of it. You know, it's just time for us to fight back. This is the thing that we're trying to do. Get all these files together, start coming at them like they come at us. Take it the way you want to take it. I got family members that's in the back, they hurt too. You know, actually the day that Mike got killed, our family reunion was going on. I didn't know. If I had it known, I'd have sent him around now. You know? I didn't know till everybody came around so fast because, man, what was the point there? Jimmy? Not too far. So, you know, this just what we on. You know, we trying to build and strengthen these families. I'm hurt, you know. I stay hurt, you know. This is strain on the family. And I want to apologize in front of everybody. I'm sorry for being an asshole, baby. I love you for taking my shit sometimes. This road is hard. Gotta have somebody strong. I want to thank all y'all for coming out and listening to the family voice. Thank you.
Let's give the panel another hand.
All right, so we definitely want to thank everybody for coming out. Right before we finish off, we have Marcellus Buckley, become known as the person poet, but he was already a poet before these things popped out. And we'll have a short piece, and then we'll have Patini Gray come up. Normally, some of these events we have closing prayers. This one I actually asked for a continuation prayer, because this does not stop today. We continue to need the blessing and the covering as we continue these the fights. Not just fighting for these families, but fighting for the other families that were not able to make it tonight as well. So continue to come on up, and Marcellus, take us home.
And I just chill right here too.
No.
I can chill right here. I would like to say to the fathers, I love you all. To the uncles, to the cousins, to the brothers, sisters, to all that y'all do and have to go through. I love you all, no matter what. No matter what you say, no matter how you feel, if I'm getting on your nerves, if I'm calling you too much, I love you still. Now, y'all got to bear with me because I just finished this poem not even probably 15 minutes ago. But that's when your best work is raw. When it really is heartfelt. This poem is called From a Father's Perspective. Through my eyes, to the seed I planted, before you
Before you would hear my soul rejoice with excitement, before we ever touched, our souls were united. I knew you were mine, father and child, two souls intertwined as such. I know you know I love you much more than when I didn't give you sensitivity and love. And staying in love was tough because Daddy grew up in a society where the edges of life are rough. So that is why I love you so hard. Because when we lay our heads, cops kill kids or put them in handcuffs. So some of my energy was directed towards you, but to express how I feel about you, the most powerful word, love, isn't even enough. But I must admit our wrongs and apologize to every child who sing along, to every rapper, every trapper, gun clapper. I got 2 phones, but I bet you ain't none of them on. Change the channel, remove the beat, and it's the same song. I was told by a father on this panel that when a child is gone, in that same hospital, 15 more are born. But why our blessings? I still don't get it. Hard to accept it, so I reject it. Wishing you were still home, so I could be more protective, dedicate more time, teach you more lessons, love you, hug you, show you more affection. Well, you're not, because you were chosen to change. So I fight in your name for justice with my brothers, bound by blood, from a father's perspective.
All right, thank you all tonight for all of your testimonies. So we're gonna pray. It's not gonna end with an amen, it's gonna end with a chant. Because we gotta keep doing this work. Day one don't start with any of these stories. Day one started when we got in this country, and we still fighting. So let us pray. Creator, we thank you for this time, for the testimonies that are the power to fuel our journey. We have prayed this evening, now let us do the work. For the beauty of the everyday moments that we have shared, we are grateful. But for the sin that has consumed our reality, making the rights of animals more precious than our children, we cry out. Yes. For the voices that carry our terror day in and out, we say thank you. But for the resilience of our community, we are strong enough to carry on still. There are no rules for us to play by. We have to write the script and create the world we want. And we pray for a day when we mark time, not by the dates of untimely deaths, but by the joys that we deserve. Yet until that day comes, we cannot let these fathers and families fight by themselves. So with the guidance of our ancestors, we continue knowing that our journey is paved by those who have gone ahead of us. Now let us stand.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support each other.
We must love and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support each other.
We must love and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support each other.
We must love and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
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 if you all desire to support Chosen for Change, next we are selling t-shirts in the back. Please stop by and if get them to you. Please come see Janet Gamble. Please come up and show some love to these fathers and the families.
On behalf of Chosen for Change, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and let's please give another round of applause to Eden Theological Seminary and the Social Justice Committee that has brought us out today. We want to thank you for supporting these fathers, and we will have another night like tonight. We will be growing this weekend for these fathers every year. So this year, we were able to bring 13 fathers out, and every year we want to grow and build more. Unfortunately, there will be more fathers to reach. So we just thank you all for coming out. Again, like our page on Facebook, Michael Brown Foundation, Chosen for Change. Like us on Instagram, Chosen for Change, and CFC Fund at Twitter. Thank you all. God bless you all. Be safe.
Okay, there's one I missed. I gotta figure out who it is.
Fruitville Station is on Netflix. Fruitville Station is on Netflix. And just so y'all know, it got the grand jury prize at Sundance and got best new film at Cannes. So it's that dope. So yeah, Fruitville Station is on Netflix. Thank you.
That's it for right now. I think there was one I missed on my tweets. I'm gonna try and figure out who it is. But that should be it. This is a 2-hour stream, so. Good night.